I'm personally definitely not one of those skaters that can just go for tricks right away. I think like some skaters are really good at that. Like they just know what they want to do and they can commit to it. I like to like make the gap in between knowing what I'm doing and going for it really small. So today we're going to talk about like progressing and learning new tricks. There's 3 new transition tricks that I really want to learn. So we're going to go through the process and show you how I learn new tricks without just hurting myself. Essentially that's what I'm getting at. I'm 35 years old, so I try to like mitigate the slams in learning tricks. I try to just get as close as I can and then go for it. So essentially what I'm saying is kind of baby foot. I do it the safest way possible. So let's get into learning some transition tricks here at Prince Park. The first trick I want to work on today is backside nose blunt. So I was actually here yesterday. That's why I wanted to make this video, to kind of show you the process of learning a new trick. So before we get into the backside nose blunts, I will say one thing I try to do is actually learn how to do tricks before doing the actual trick. And what I mean by that is like I learned how to do switch blunts, which are really scary. Just to get committed into that switch blunt motion is really scary. But I actually started on like a 2-foot transition, like the smallest possible transition, because if I do fall, at least I'm not falling down big transition. The impact won't be that bad. I mean, sometimes it's kind of scary because you're closer to the ground, but the point is like trying to learn the tricks to get up to the trick. So, you know, a backside nose blunt, you have to back 180, put your nose into there and go in switch. So by learning the switch blunt, just back to your regular, I already figured out how to land it essentially. So once I figure out how to get into the nose blunt, I'll be less scared to go for it. So that's the point about like learning different tricks to get to the trick you want to do. Like I can do backside disaster to sugarcane, for example. That's the second trick I want to learn today, but I've never gone straight to the sugarcane. But I think like kind of baby footing, baby stepping to those tricks really allows you. Every trick has their own like ways of doing that. For example, like a blunt fakie, people grab the nose because they're scared to get their back blunt on there. They're scared to zip out, zing out, fall. There's a lot of different things that can happen with the blunt fakie. So instead they grab it, which allows them to be more precise and they can yank it out. And the reality, it might be harder grabbing or doing things like that, but it allows you to get mental confidence to at least just figure the trick out. So let's get some backside nose blunts, warm up on them. I'll show you what they look like right away and just see where I can get in 15 minutes and just kind of talk through the process after I do a couple, see if I can figure out. This is a really scary trick for me, I will say. So I'm gonna do it on some noping over here. It's like maybe like 2.5 feet, maybe 3 feet. It's probably 2.5 feet. And there's no coping on it, which for nose blunts, I think is really allowing me to be more comfortable. Coping is just scaring me a lot. A couple people have asked about these sunglasses. I really don't know. I got them from Target for like $10. Here's a little barcode. So those switch blunts are basically going to give me the confidence to now churn, go into the nose blunt and just commit to it. Not commit to it, but the idea is like I'm making that gap from like having to just go for it and doing a Hail Mary a lot smaller so that I can actually like know what I'm doing. So I'm not just like a sending it type of person. I think sometimes you got to send it, but the idea is to like mitigate that gap of not having to send it. So now I got a couple switch blunts on there, got my mental confidence up along with my physical confidence. I'm gonna try to back 180 into the nose blunt. This is a trick that I really want to learn. My friend Lucas, this is like his favorite transition trick, so that gives me like extra reason to learn it. So try a couple ollies into the back nose blunt. The other thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have my front foot actually higher up on my board, probably like by my bolts, versus having it further in the back where you would normally do an ollie. And the point for that is just like I have less room for air, so I'm gonna put my foot like up here, up towards the top versus like back here. Trying to ollie into it. I'm gonna put it up here. And the reason for that is I'm gonna try to scoop right into the nose blunt without having to air and then aim into the nose blunt, because there's more margin for air right there. Like the point being, you can like slip out, you can like not get into the nose blunt. So I almost want to like kind of pivot into the nose blunt versus ollieing into it. For me, it's gonna feel safer. Maybe it's a harder way to do it, but in my head, it just has a less air factor. So let's try a couple of backside nose blunts, see if I can get some.
All right, that's 3 sloppy backside nose blunts. First ones I've gotten of the session. It's kind of crazy that like I was trying for at least 15 minutes, didn't make any of them, and then I made 3 in a row. It goes to show you like how much of it is mental and just repetition and making like micro improvements. So when I was doing that, one big difference that I made was like moved my front foot even higher up onto the board like I was saying in the beginning, because I had it so far in the back trying to scoop into it and make it look all cool, instead of just like bring my front foot up and trying to push right into the nose and then get on top of it really allowed me to figure out. So let's try to clean it up, maybe like 1 or 2 more, and then we'll move on to the sugar cane. It's a trick that I haven't tried ever, so it'll be kind of a fun experiment. Happy with those backside nose ones. They weren't like the best ones ever, but progression is not about like doing the best or getting the best. It's just about like progression. And one thing that I will say, it's really allowed me to learn tricks, not just as backside nose blunt, but I was doing it just now with the backside nose blunt, is repetition and not having too much downtime. This has been like proven scientifically. Basically, you just keep going, repetition, repetition, repetition. You try not to have too much downtime in between. So like each time I was kind of like just swerving back around and trying it. So I wasn't like really stopping, looking at it and trying it again. I basically just keep trying it. And I think that really allows you to just like get out of the mental space and just get into that physical space where you're just like kind of almost like not thinking about it. You're just doing it, you're in repetition. Then eventually like, you almost like black out. I think that's what happens sometimes when skaters black out and they land tricks, is you just get in this repetition mode and you're not focusing and thinking so much, you're just physically doing it. Now we are on the other side of the skate park to try to learn sugar canes. This is a trick I've always wanted to do. I could do the backside disaster into sugar cane, back lip into sugar cane. It's basically a reverse Smith grind. You're doing Smith grind, but you're going in the wrong direction. That's basically what a sugar cane is. So I've got some metal coping on this quarter pipe behind me. It's like 3.5 feet tall. It's kind of tall for learning a trick on, at least in my opinion. I love learning on like 2-foot transition. Just think it's so much not as scary. Essentially, I get scared once you get to this height of transition, but what I'm going to do is actually do some of those backside disasters into the sugar cane, just kind of get comfortable, get used to that motion, and then I'm going to try to just swing a few straight into sugar cane. We'll see what happens. I've never done this. I've been wanting to do it for a long time, so we'll see. My objective in this is just, again, trying to make the gap in between doing sugar cane and lip sugar cane as small as possible. So eventually, when I'm doing some of these lip side sugar cane stalls, I'm going to try to just quickly get through the disaster part really quick. So I'm almost just going straight to sugar cane, but slowly hitting the board, kind of mitigate that gap in between actually doing the trick. Let's try it. So when it comes to backside or frontside tricks, right? Like I could be learning frontside nose blunt or frontside sugar cane versus this backside sugar cane that I'm trying to learn. I'll get into it in a second. I think it really depends on the person. Like normally frontside is easier for me. It depends on the trick. Like frontside nose blunt probably would be easier when I think about it versus like the body motion and like twisting motion, but I just got comfortable trying backside, so I just kept going to. I didn't want to switch it up. I think it is important to do it, switch it up, you know, occasionally. Like if you're learning backsmiths, try front smiths, but you also just do what feels natural. That's the point I want to get at, is like, for me, backside sugar cane just feels more natural. Like, yeah, when I think about it, maybe it's a little bit harder versus frontside, because frontside you can just do like a big overturn 180 and then lock into it, where backside I think you have to be a little more on top. That's why it might be technically a little bit more difficult, but I don't know. My point is that it's like really depends on each person. Like it might be for you, frontside might be easier, for me backside might be easier. It really depends. So whatever's natural, I would say go with that, and then you can learn it the other way. It's going to be an advantage. So if I learn backside sugar canes, I think frontside sugar canes will come a lot easier. Kind of scared to do them on the metal coping that I thought I would try them on, but we'll try a few and just see what happens. Do a little bit of a Hail Mary. This is the hard part, where like you're in between that gap that I was talking about, like the just sending it gap is now it's here. I have to like kind of just go for one. There's only so much closer I can get. So I did the fakie to Smith, which is like, you know, the easiest way to do this trick, and then I did the disaster sugar cane, then I did a backside ellipse slide sugar cane. So now it's just about trying a few, see if we get it. Oh, I'm so hyped. That was the first sugarcane stall and sugarcane grind. I think I grinded it a little bit. As you could tell, probably in the beginning of those clips, I was so scared to like actually go for it. I was kind of thinking like just like back 3 at the bottom, then like make my way up. But as time went on, I just kind of went and tried to like hang up back disaster. Basically, that's what I tried to figure out, is like you're basically just turning more to backside disaster. So I have one other trick I want to learn today, or try to progress on, which is the backside judo. Backside judo is basically a backside air. You just kick off your front foot in the inside. So instead of the outside, you kick it down to the right. So yeah, super hyped on the sugar canes. I think one thing I will say about like learning these sugar canes too is you kind of get to the point where you like realize that's the worst case scenario, right? Like that's the worst situation. I did one where I kind of like, I don't know, zinged out, felt really weird. And as scary as it was, it kind of gave me confidence to just realize like, sorry, it's so bright. Kind of just realize like that's a worst case scenario, not the very worst case scenario, but that's like most likely going to happen, like trying to learn it. And then once you fall a couple times and you realize like, okay, that's how you're going to fall, that's sort of the scenario that you're playing with, it allows you to just kind of like be less scared, and you can like start to go for it. So I'm super hyped. Got a few. Thanks to you guys for subscribing, hitting that like button if you haven't already. Just getting me hyped to get out here and learn a trick. All right, backside judos. I'm actually going to try them on this Jersey barrier wall. Even though it's like probably a pretty hard wall to backside air on, it's not tall. Hopefully by this part of the video, you're starting to realize what I do and not do. It's a lot about the obstacle that I skate, and that's what's gonna allow me to learn. So this Jersey barrier, it's small, but it has really, really steep transition at the very top, which is gonna kick me out to the flat, kick me up. It's gonna help for my airs, essentially. Or if it was really, really mellow, I wouldn't be able to air on it. So like the quarter pipe back below where I was just doing the sugar canes, it's pretty mellow, so I wasn't as scared, where if it was steep, I'd been a lot more scared. So yeah, the obstacles that you pick to learn your tricks on are going to help a lot with like just your overall confidence of like going for it. So now we're at the Jersey barrier. Let's try a few of these. I can already tell this is gonna be a lot harder than I thought it was gonna be. I thought I was just gonna do backside air and just like kick my foot, but man, it's tough, especially on this Jersey barrier. I think this might not be the right obstacle. Back to the point before, I think I need to get on a bigger obstacle. Man, I hate when you get gum on your wheel inside the skate park. It's the worst, dude. Complain. I'm happy I have a skate park to ride. I can't be complaining. You guys are probably like, dude, you're in California, shut up. So I will agree. I'm privileged to even be out here right now. So I don't know if I'm gonna get this judo today. I'm gonna be honest, I'm so exhausted. I want to like keep going. The one trick that will help with this is like backside tail block judo. So I can do those. I do a tail block, keep my front foot off. But I don't know if I got it in me right now. I'm so exhausted. And that's something to also realize is expectation. So when you're going out to learn stuff, like just enjoy yourself. If you're like trying a trick and you're trying it so long and you're not enjoying yourself, you're just like stressed out and you're just worried about landing, I would say try something else, mix it up. Hope you guys enjoy this video. I'm gonna do judos, another video. Make sure you subscribe for that video. I don't know when. I really do want to do it. I think I need to get my helmet, my knee pads out for that one. So love y'all. Mash.